Again for being with us. As I mentioned, Jason is the General Counsel and Director of Operations at PowerMarket, a recognized market leader in the community solar industry, founded in 2014 in Brooklyn, New York. Jason has extensive experience in the financing and management of renewable energy assets. And prior to his role at PowerMarket, he was the General Counsel and Head of Policy at United Wind, where he led all legal and policy matters related to their distributed wind energy business, as well as overseeing over $200 million raised in project and corporate finance from global energy corporates like Stat Oil, Total, and TEPCO. And Jason, apologies if I mispronounced those. This wasn't necessarily my world. So thanks for being here today. Jason's a graduate from Vermont Law School, JD and Masters, and Colgate University. So I will, again, thank you for being here and happily hand it over to you.
Thank you, Valerie. I really appreciate it, and really excited to be certainly a part of the New York Wine and Grape Foundation through PowerMarket and the work that we do, and certainly supporting the work that you all do. I'm really excited to be here to share kind of all the kind of nitty gritty around community solar and the benefits that it can realize for agricultural producers, wine and grape growers, certainly in the state of New York. As Valerie said, I have a deep affinity for the New York State. Obviously, I spent my formidable years in Hamilton and in sort of Madison County, New York, and in the dead center, New York, and have lived here my whole life. And so, you know, in that past work I was doing at United Wind, we were servicing agricultural producers with renewable energy solutions. And the best part of what we're doing here at PowerMarket is able to kind of give the benefits of renewable energy without any kind of that cost, hassle, or need to install anything at the property. So today I'm really excited to kind of share kind of details around community solar, kind of what is community solar, how can wine and grape growers benefit from community solar, who is PowerMarket, kind of what do we do as a company in supporting these community solar projects. Obviously, why joining community solar is a win-win and a benefit to all of those producers, and certainly how agricultural farmers, grape growers, wineries can unequivocally benefit from joining a community solar project locally. So just to kind of give a little quick 101 on community solar, really it's this notion that, you know, there's 50% of our population that simply can't install solar on site, whether it's because they don't have the land or property to install solar, to have it behind their meter. Maybe they simply don't want to install solar. Maybe their property is shaded, or they simply, and this is more in the residential case, they don't own their roof. They're a renter, they're a student, and don't have the ability to have that solar behind their utility account. And that's kind of where community solar fits this really amazing need, where instead of having solar located at site, you as an account holder with your utility can join a larger solar facility that's being installed and operating somewhere else within your utility territory. And what happens that each and every month, that clean energy from that solar array is being injected into the local grid, greening the utility's grid. And the utility, in turn, provides credits for those kilowatt hours to those subscribers to that project. And so essentially, as an agricultural producer that might have several meters because they are servicing a barn or a different facilities on site that have energy load, they could subscribe each one of those individual utility accounts to a community solar project for them to participate. And each month, the utility will apply what they call community solar credits to the utility bill, representing kind of that portion of that array's production to the consumer, to the subscriber. And it's just really amazing way of being a part of community solar, being a part of the clean energy revolution, if you will, without having any real impact to the operations of the business itself. One of the aspects here, one of the principal aspects is that there's no solar being installed at your property. You're simply getting to participate in a local project somewhere else within your community. And that's, obviously the first benefit there is that you as a subscriber have no operational requirements. There's no risk to having your operations disrupted or anything like that. And so just at a high level, community solar kind of really serves that purpose to enable a very easy participation in in solar energy as a whole. And certainly one of the biggest value propositions is saving money. So, you know, at the end of the day, the credits that are being applied to your utility bill are just discounts or coupons, if you will, that are reducing the utility bill each and every month. And for some of our projects that we have right now in National Grid, NYSEG, and Central Hudson, there's no payment component, meaning that, you know, those credits will be applied to your bill as a negative balance. And I'll certainly show a slide later on that shows how that looks like on your utility bill. But that's it. It's essentially at the end of the day kind of free money to then also benefit and support local clean energy. So that's kind of where this win-win aspect comes into play. You know, PowerMarket as a company and the work that we do, you know, our goal and our passion is kind of activating and educating people on community solar, to share kind of this no-brainer proposition to join a community solar project. We now are operating and managing these community solar projects in 7 states. You know, community solar as a program is state enabled. New York State is one of the first states that was able to enable community solar back in, it was almost like 2013, 2014, to allow for this idea of community solar to exist. And there are states across the country that like Massachusetts, Maine, New Jersey, Illinois, Minnesota, Colorado that are, you know, have joined in that bandwagon, and you're seeing new states come to the fruition. So maybe some of your friends in Pennsylvania and New Mexico may be hearing news that there's a community solar legislation being worked through their legislature to enable community solar in those states. And so that's kind of the wonderful thing, that this is an industry that is growing and it is enabling more people that otherwise wouldn't be able to participate in clean energy to do so. And to date, we've given over almost $1 million back to subscribers in savings that have participated, and, you know, again, supporting a huge amount of clean energy that's being injected into the grid, so that they can, so our state, the state of New York, can meet its renewable portfolio standards that we can feel great about, enabling more clean energy that are being accessed on our utility system. You know, just dovetailing back to kind of the value propositions that I was sharing earlier around kind of why community solar makes so much sense, is that, you know, again, there's no installation. You know, one of the questions that we get all the time when we kind of share the opportunity for community solar is, when people hear solar, certainly in ag world, because you guys are being kind of engaged many times by solar companies that are looking to install a solar project on your property, and sort of paying a lease payment to have solar there, is, hey, when are you guys going to come? Yeah, it sounds good. Community solar, that works. When are you guys going to come to my property to install the solar panels? And that's where we say, no. Actually, there's not going to be any installation at your property. We have no desire to do that. That this is really a virtual type of engagement where we're just simply taking that utility account number that you have and sharing it with the utility, so that they know you as an agricultural producer are participating in this community solar project. And then again, each and every month, you'll see that value. There's no upfront costs. There's no fees to cancel. It's a very flexible engagement as being a subscriber to our community solar projects, because that is, you know, I think what New York State was looking for, is to enable a great flexibility in enabling consumers of all types, residential, small commercial, agricultural, religious institutions, to participate in community solar and make it very easy. And that's also where this notion of guaranteed savings comes into play too, because we want our subscribers and participants to know that this is no risk, that they are literally guaranteed to save every single month. Because again, the credits will simply apply to their bill and there's no further action necessary. In previous iterations of the community solar program in New York, and frankly, they still exist today, is that a customer would be getting credits that apply to their bill, and then we would be billing them for the value of those credits. There's a slide that will come later that will kind of illustrate that more visually. But essentially, it's sort of having to, you know, it's like one of those days where you bought a coupon and that coupon was for $100 and you paid $90 for it. That essentially is what, you know, community solar is that, hey, you're getting a coupon related to the value of clean energy injected into the grid of $100. And then we're going to charge you $90 for that value of that $100, thereby saving that $10, saving that 10%. But now what's happening, and certainly for projects that we would look to bring our agricultural producers in upstate New York to, is that instead of having to pay for those credits and kind of pay that $90 to get the $100, you would simply just get a negative $10 applied to the bill, and that's it. So it's easy to participate in that respect. And again, all the energy that's being generated by these solar projects are clean, locally produced. These are not projects that are kind of all the way in New Mexico or Texas that, you're kind of, these are projects that are very much in the Finger Lake regions from Buffalo in Chautauqua County all the way up to the Northern Territory to, all the way downstate where we have projects in the Central Hudson Valley, and even Long Island. And so really across New York State, there are opportunities to join community solar projects to save and support that local clean energy. And obviously these jobs are, being that they are local, they do create great tax revenue as well as high quality jobs in the construction industries locally. And so there's this sort of positive feedback loop that happens as community solar continues to grow across New York State. Because again, as participants of it, it's showing the industry as a whole that there's definitely demand and interest in participating in community solar, that then gives the confidence to those who are building these projects to build more and more and more, which can be a good thing, certainly, as we look to enabling more clean energy in the state of New York. And again, all of that correlates directly with the notion of, reducing our carbon footprint, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, reducing the kind of negative impacts from the purchase and generation of coal and gas-fired power plants that help us in fighting the effects of climate change, which I certainly know those in the agricultural world know that too well, as it relates to kind of the impacts of weather and climate onto, your harvests and your grapes and things like that, those are things where you certainly care about kind of the future of the environment to that respect. And again, participating in community solar is one way of, one easy way of kind of saying, hey, I want to be a part of something that's going to make a difference. As I described it, kind of how will your utility bill change? Hey, Jason, all right, fine, I'm going to sign up for a community solar. This sounds good, but I'm nervous. Like, what does it really mean to sign up for community solar? Because is there going to be a conflict? Because I also, and I'm speaking as a producer, obviously, but I know many of you are savvy in the way that you go about purchasing and looking at costs in your operations. And many of our agricultural producer customers buy energy supply. They know that National Grid is their utility. Certainly, they get their delivery of electricity from the utility. But in New York State, they can buy "quote unquote" electrons and kilowatt hours from anybody. You've got Constellation Energy, you got Direct Energy, you got Green Mountain Power, and the like that you can be buying supply from. And a lot of times, one of the biggest questions we have is, how is community solar going to impact my contract that I have with an energy supplier? And the answer is it won't. Community solar is not a supply contract. When you subscribe to a community solar project, it is not that you are subscribing to buy kilowatt hours. You are not, executing on a long-term contract to buy supply from PowerMarket for your electricity needs. So to the extent that you are in a supply contract with a supplier like the one I described, you can still join a community solar project, and it will have literally no effect and no impact on that contract. Because at the end of the day, your supplier will still be getting paid for the energy supply that you use. But what's happening in joining community solar is that you're getting this credit that's getting applied to your bill that sort of reduces your bill cost by that amount. And as you see on this sort of example National Grid bill, is that there's now a new line item that will appear on your utility bill when you start participating in the community solar project, called transfer of community value stack credit. Utility does not make it obviously easy and simple to potentially understand exactly what it is, but obviously the value stack is sort of that's the value that the utility applies to each kilowatt hour of clean energy injection in the grid from a community solar project. The community obviously is this notion of a community solar project. So in this case, this customer received a credit of negative $5.37 off their bill. Now that nominal dollar amount will change each month, because certainly in the summer months, when there's more energy, more solar energy being produced, there's going to be more kilowatt hours that are going to be applied to your account at a higher value. And that amount could be negative $15 or negative $30. The nominal value also relates to how much is your energy usage at that specific meter. Because what we do at PowerMarket is we want to try to get our subscribers the most savings they possibly can get as it relates to kind of what is their energy usage over the course of a year. And so we look at your last 12 months of energy usage to then what we call allocate you a portion of that project. So If you only had a small amount at a certain meter, we might only allocate you 0.5% of the output from this large solar array. But if you had a very large operating facility with a lot of load, then we might actually allocate you 3% of that. And obviously the difference between 3% and 0.5% is what's correlative to whether or not you get a negative credit of $50 or a negative credit of $6. And so what we want to do is obviously within the regulations themselves, provide the maximum benefit possible to our agricultural producers. And that's kind of what you would see as reflected on your utility bill each month. And as I said, it would just be simply a negative credit, free money being applied to your bill without having to do anything on site, no disruption to your operations, no disruption to your land or facility. And it's obviously, again, that easy. And so just to give you a sense of this sort of math behind the savings, kind of what I described earlier, is again, you're getting these kilowatt hours are being injected in the grid. The utility values those kilowatt hours at, in this case, $1,000. And you would have paid, in circumstances where we're asking our customers to pay for their credits, because there are some projects that are still in this universe where that's required. We would then have our customers pay the $900 for the value of the $1,000 received, thereby saving $100. As I said, in newer projects, instead of kind of seeing that math, you're just simply going to see a negative $100 applied to your utility bill. And agricultural producers themselves, as a segment of potential participants in community solar, I think offers the greatest value, simply because most agricultural producers are being classified by their utility on a residential or small commercial rate class that either does not have measured demand, and thereby we can allocate 100% of the energy usage that you have to a community solar project, thereby saving a tremendous amount of money each and every month on your utility bill. One of our champion subscribers that we have right now is Linda Barber at Barber Brothers Dairy up in Saratoga County. I mean, Linda and her family have owned this dairy farm for many years. And, as all agricultural producers are, and certainly as times have shifted, and certainly ag producers, certainly family farmers have suffered greatly as different, pricing have been, suppressed, and, all these issues that affect the climate and the like are always looking to find ways of how can we reduce our operating expenses? How can we find simple solutions that can help us? A few dollars here or there will add up. And as Linda was looking at her portfolio of accounts that she had, because again she had a dairy farm, she had multiple kind of utility accounts, that in joining the community solar project, we were able to bring all of her utility accounts to a community solar project, and every single month now giving her savings that she can then deploy and reinvest back into her business to mitigate potentially some of the cyclical nature of her business, where she might not be making as much in certain months as others. And by nature of her saving, that kind of makes her feel great about showing the economics of participating. But again, someone who is conscious about the impact that she has in the environment and wants to be someone who is recognizing the sustainability and impacts on climate change, that the totality of what the offering is to participate in community solar makes her feel just great about that participation. So, we're super excited. We love that Linda's on the project. She has like 6 meters. She even has her personal meter from her home on the project, which again, any utility account can participate. So it's not just your facility, but it's your home, it's your uncle's home, it's your uncle's farm. It's anyone who has an active utility account can participate in the community solar project and benefit. So, that is kind of where we see, just again, with agricultural producers, wine producers, grape growers, where you have energy costs and you're trying to find ways to reduce it. You also are conscious of the environmental impacts and want to have an impact on climate change and be able to share with your customers and your staff that you are committed to doing things to help in that effect. Joining community solar is frankly the easiest way of doing it without, again, any sort of downside or risk to you as an agricultural producer. So that is really, I want to kind of have a succinct presentation to kind of share with all of you these benefits. Obviously, we've got projects across the state of New York that we are enrolling right now in community solar. We have Fortune 500 publicly traded companies that are on these projects, religious institutions, agricultural producers, residential customers. It really is just this amazing, frankly, when you talk about community solar, I mean, it is the entire community that comes together, that is such a diverse group of individuals, corporations, businesses, and religious institutions that are participating in these projects and saving and also doing great for the environment. So I welcome, certainly if there's interest, I'm going to take, certainly there's time for questions and really look forward to engaging with you all on this opportunity. But certainly, you're more than welcome to email me at jason.kaplan@powermarket.io or give me a ring. I'm happy to share more details and work with you on an opportunity to join one of our community solar projects. So with that, Valerie, I think I've given the overview here and the deep dive. So
Yeah.
again, I appreciate the opportunity here to present to you and the group on this opportunity, but definitely open for questions and looking forward to connecting with your members.
Great. Thanks, Jason. This was, I think, really valuable. And I do have a couple questions here. And while we still have some minutes left in the hour, I'm certainly happy to take more questions through either the chat feature or the Q&A feature. For those of you who still want to hang out and listen to these questions, I think you answered most of them. I know that one of my questions was, is this service available statewide? And I think we've got quite a few members, wineries and growers on Long Island. I think specifically one is here today, and we definitely are interested in Long Island. So any difference between the projects that are going on in Long Island versus upstate? I know that you said some are still kind of grandfathered in under a different way of paying and being billed versus some newer projects. So are those by region?
Yes, it's so by region and also timing of when these projects were kind of accepted by the utility. And I should say that I am sitting right now in Long Island, on Long Island.
Great.
So I grew up here on Long Island. In some respects try to get out of Long Island, but you know how Long Island is, it drags you back. So I live in Plainview right now, but certainly spent a lot of time on the North Fork, certainly where I know a lot of grape growers and wine producers are, and enjoy obviously the fruits of your labor, pun intended, I guess. But yeah, I mean, Long Island is a unique, LIPA and PSE&G Long Island is unique in the sense that they're not necessarily regulated by the Department of Public Service. And so they were a little bit slower to embrace community solar and kind of get the rules in place. So some of the projects that we currently have right now, and we do actually have 2 community solar projects enrolling, where we possibly will have another large community facility on Long Island that will generate credits. But for our Long Island projects, that, Valerie, will be kind of part of the program that I was describing before, where the customer will see kind of 100% of the credits applied to their bill, and then we would bill them for 90% of that value. And that's, again, just how the mechanisms work on Long Island today. But all of the utilities in New York State are moving to what they call net crediting or consolidated billing, where the customer will only see kind of that net savings, that negative $10, negative $100 that represents kind of that 10% savings applied directly to their bill.
That's great. And so that was another question, just for clarity. So for instance, our members here today, they just continue to pay their utility bill and usually aren't paying PowerMarket. They pay their utility bill and they see that credit, but keep paying that utility bill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's a great point, because you're right. Well, we get questions a lot of time, or not even questions, but we get people telling us, hey, I signed up for a community solar project and I stopped paying my utility bill. And it's like, whoa, no, don't do that.
Right.
Because nothing that you're engaging with us on is taking over your utility account. Again, we're not going to be your utility. We're not taking over paying your utility bill. Really what we're offering is a very simple value proposition of putting credits applied to your bill each month to reduce that bill. But certainly if you still owe the utility something and you see that statement and it says you owe $25, we want our customers to pay that $25, except it was $30 before joining community solar. Now it's $25 because you just now got a credit for $5 applied to your bill. So that's just really important, is that I think in this day and age, when people hear solar, they either imagine that we're trying to sell you solar energy, like a supplier is trying to sell you energy supply, or we're trying to install something on your property. And that's where, if the only thing that someone gets from this presentation is to say, it's neither case. We are not doing either of those. This is simply being able to say, hey, I'm getting savings on my bill, but it's all related to a community solar project that's being generating clean energy in my community, and I can drive past it, I can point to it, but I get that savings and I have no responsibility to maintain it. I've got no ownership to feel like I got to buy something or put up any upfront capital to invest in it. Because that's the benefit, right? Is that there's no upfront or capital outlay that anyone has to make to join a community solar project. So their return on investment is immediate from day one. There's no investment that they're making, and then they have to calculate, all right, if I make this $100 investment, when am I going to make my money back? There's none of that, because the savings happens from the first moment that those credits apply to their bill.
Understood. Thanks for the clarification. One last note, I really appreciated the testimonial from Young Dairy. Agricultural communities are all close. And I think if there were wineries that you were working with or growers that could provide some testimonial, or that we could reach out to, or members could reach out to for references on how they've experienced working with PowerMarket, that might also be helpful.
Yeah, and Valerie, I mean, I'll be honest, we have a lot of agricultural producers, but we don't have any wineries. And I think that's one of the reasons why we wanted to join as a member of the New York Wine and Grape Growers Foundation, because we wanted to share what this opportunity was, because we saw other agricultural producers benefiting from it. And we saw, hey, you know what? There's obviously in the state of New York a very robust agricultural industry that relates to wine and grape growing that may be missing out on this opportunity. And so we wanted to make sure that, we shared this with you and the members, because we do see equally a benefit that can be here. And I think as soon as we have, several of your members join, they would then, I would think, equally be champions to say, yeah, this was free, and we're getting savings and we didn't have to worry about anything. And yeah, why wouldn't you do it? So, but again, I'm looking, for some of the members to, recognize this as, again, I know agricultural producers are ones that are champions of innovation and champions of things that they realize can provide them value at little to no risk. So I'm hopeful that, from this presentation, that we can certainly get some members to say, you know what, all right, let's do this. Let's join and see what this is all about.
Yeah, and I think for our group here, if you could help us keep on top of that, we'd be happy to help pilot that. If people have experiences they want to share with the other grape growers and wineries in New York State, we'd be happy to get those messages out. I think that, we talked before this, and I know we've talked with some of our staff, we didn't really understand the concept. So listening to you today was very helpful. It's kind of demystified something where you either think someone's trying to sell you something, as you said, or that it may be too good to be true. So this was helpful to demystify some of the risks and rewards, with PowerMarket and community solar specifically. So we really appreciate it. If there were no other questions from our participants today, I will let you go just with a warm thank you. And I hope that you stay well and healthy, and that we all are able to come back and do this again next year.
Likewise. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, New York Wine Grape Foundation. And really, again, appreciate this opportunity and look forward to connecting with all of you members on this, so thank you again.
Our pleasure. Have a great day. Take care.
Bye now.